to the Prophecy Club. Today, I want to talk about the plan. Now, I'm going to start with a disclaimer. I cannot prove a word of what I'm about to say, and this is rumor, probably of the highest order. So if you don't want to believe this, then that might even be a smart thing to do. But nevertheless, I'm going to put it out there, even though I'm telling you right up front, can't prove it, and it may be a rumor. Apparently, what happened was when JFK was assassinated by the Moloch and the Baal worshippers, those are the people that own and control our financial system for at least 300 years and probably even further back. These were the people when Moses came down off of the mountain with the Ten Commandments. He saw them worshiping the golden calf. Well, that's Moloch and Baal worship. And Moloch and Baal worshippers believe in human sacrifice. Yes, it's probably the most filthiest, the most evil, most vile religion on the planet. They literally believe in human sacrifice, eating humans, drinking their blood. Nothing is a line that they will not cross. They will do blackmail, extortion, murder, sex trafficking, sex with children, child molesters. It's the worst of the worst of the worst. Now, back to my story, back to the plan. According to the rumor, so JFK was assassinated, and apparently the report is that a group of military officers that were the good guys said, this is enough. If we're going to keep our country, we have absolutely positively got to do away with this evil cabal. And that's the short word for Moloch and Baal worshippers, this evil cabal. And so they set about setting up a plan to eventually take them out. They said that either we take them out from the bottom up, from the people overthrowing the government, as in an internal revolution from the bottom up, or they could get into the presidency and take it over from the top down. Well, they were about to do some kind of a bottom-up internal revolution, but then when Trump came along, they talked to him, and there was reportedly 10 different candidates, and they settled on Trump, and they went to Trump, and they said, this is the plan, this is what we want to do. And Trump said, okay, well, who is going to run it? Do I report to you or do you report to me? And they said, oh, no, we would report to you. And he said, well, then I'll do it. So apparently that was the plan, that he would run for the presidency, and then once in office, he would set things in motion to begin to arrest these evil cabal people. And that was working up until the point that the cheaters took over and Trump wasn't put into office the second term. So now that forced the internal revolution, that forced the bottom up. In other words, that forced the military takeover of America, just like Dmitri Duduman was told. I've said it many times, I'll say it again. Dmitri was told by the angel Gabriel sometime in 1984 that the fall of America would start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Now, the definition of an internal revolution is not riots, it's not breaking windows, it's not burning buildings, it's not writing nasty words on the wall. It is the people in an overthrow of their government. I'll say it again. It is the overthrow, the forceful overthrow of a government by the people of that government. That's an internal revolution. So the prophecy goes, the fall of America will start. Didn't say it's going to end. Said it would start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 of the countries will attack and defeat America in one day, so great riches will come to naught. Then on January 20th of 2021, Leslie was told in a dream, and I won't go into all of the dream, but essentially that if we would pray 4 times a day for 4 days on our face, asking God to forgive our sins and to heal our land, and if we did that, and if we could get, and part of what we were supposed to pray for was to get 4 more years for Trump, and then possibly get 40 more years for America. We even had the prayer written out, and probably most everybody listening right now did, in fact, to do that prayer. That was January 20th. we want to believe that our prayers were answered. We want to believe that somehow, some way, even though it doesn't look like it right now, that somehow Trump is going to be given those 4 more years. Now, you remember that Henry Gruver had that vision, and in the vision, Trump turned back and said, "I'll be back. I'll be back," and said it twice. And then, of course, if you look at Mike Lindell, and by the way, Lindell has 2 L's in it. If you look at LindellTV.com, LindellTV.com, you'll see that one of the videos, Mike Lindell says that he felt like that Trump would be back in charge by August. Now, if you put all that together, here's what I want to believe. I want to believe that the whole issue, the whole warning of Dmitry Duduman can, I don't know that I would say has, I would say can possibly be put off for many more years. I don't know how many years, and I certainly don't know that I can say 40 years yet. But I can say it is time, my brothers and sisters, that we get on our face and fast and pray for our nation. All right, now back to the plan. So the plan was that these Moloch and Baal worshipers, the cabal, I will call them, would be arrested. Well, in November the 3rd of 2017, they hired John Huber after Trump set up an executive order saying that people that were guilty of corruption and sexual abuse, i.e. child trafficking and child sex with children and things like that, could have all of their assets confiscated and, in so many words, to kind of summarize the whole deal, could be then tried in military tribunals. 3 days later, the sealed indictments begin to stack up. Normally, there's 125 to 350 sealed indictments at any one time across the 50 U.S. states. But all of a sudden, they started to stack up. Now, as of about a year ago, the total is up to 222,450. Some of those have been served. Rumors say that some 2,000 people have been arrested just within the banking system. See, the cabal has owned and controlled our banking system for over 300 years, and if we knew the truth, it was probably further back than that. These are the evil people that rule the world, and their tentacles are in everything. They're not just into the media and education and business. They're into they're even into the religion. They're even in the churches. And here's the thing, because they stay hidden, it's hard to know who the cabal actually is, because they'll stay hidden for years, smiling at your face, and you think they're on your side. That is until it comes for a vote, and then to see the Liz Cheney jump up and vote for Trump to be impeached. Things like that. Now let's go to the second thing I want to point out. And I sort of kind of talked about this in another broadcast last week, but that's on my heart to go back through it and to just, let's talk about it. Let's think this thing through. And as I do this, I want you to listen to your heart. As I'm talking about this, listen to what is in your heart, not just your ears, but listen in your heart. So Benjamin Fulford said in his last newsletter, which was this past Monday, I'll just read one paragraph. While the Western world wonders through the dystopia of a fake Joe Biden presidency and a manufactured pandemic, something huge is brewing. Okay, what is the something huge? I suspect it's the plan. Now, you remember I told you that Tuesday, March 9th, I awoke from taking an afternoon nap at 3:17, and I heard the words massive arrests, massive arrests. And that was an answer to a conversation Leslie and I had a little bit before then, which was basically saying, is this thing ever going to turn around? I believe that was God answer, because I was about to make a program saying it's not going to turn around. So when he said massive arrest, that was telling me, no, Stan, you don't want to say that, because the massive arrests are coming. Now let's go back to Fulford. While the Western world wanders through the dystopia of a fake Joe Biden presidency and a manufactured pandemic, something huge is brewing. Okay, what is this something huge? Could it be that there really is about to be a column or a battalion of tanks going into Washington, D.C., into the Supreme Court, into the Capitol, and into the White House, and rounding a bunch of these cabal up and bringing them to justice. Back to Fulford. A thousands of year old regime. Isn't that what the cabal is? Because the golden calf goes all the way back to Moses, and since it was in Moses, they had to be even before then. It is probably the oldest and the most evil of all religions, of all of them. Back to Fulford. Thousands of years old regime is facing a systemic collapse. What's systemic? In other words, a global, a total collapse. Thousands of year old regime is facing a systemic collapse, and secret negotiations about its replacement are ongoing. Replacement. What would that replacement look like? Well, since they control our financial system, it would mean a totally new financial system. This financial system is so corrupt, you couldn't fix it. You got to start a whole new financial system. Also, it would probably mean a new internet. It would probably mean that a bunch of satellites currently being used by the fake news would simply have to be turned off or shot down or taken out somehow. And the rumor is 123 of them. Wow, 123 satellites, really? Well, you see, Starlink has already been putting up, they're probably around 1,200 satellites right now. These are the low Earth orbiting satellites, and these are going to be the new internet, and it's going to be like a 1 gig down speed, just incredibly fast, and it's going to be linked into our cell phones, and in my opinion, that's going to be the new digital system. Now, let me also give you another disclaimer. I do not have any brown envelopes slipped under my door. I don't have some intelligence person coming and telling me any information. All of this information comes to me either from the Bible or from God's modern prophets or from other news sources that seem to be correct, that are not new information sources, but confirming what we already knew in the Bible and in God's prophets. Now, back to what he's saying. Secret negotiations about its replacement are ongoing. That means, my brothers and sisters, we have to be praying. We have to be praying that this evil cabal is pulled down. As said before, I'll say again, America right now, and really America is the leader of the world. So you might say the world. The world, i.e. America, is in a crossroads. We're at a Y in the road. Either we go to the left, we go to totalitarian government, down to communism, to Biden, to the left, and to evil, and to destruction. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico, and 2 other countries will attack and defeat America in one day. Or we go to the right. We see that, and that's right, it's up to us. It's really not up to Trump, but it's really not up to the military. It's up to us because Jesus gave us all power over all the enemy, but nothing by any means shall hurt us. So it's what we pray. It's what we say, not what Trump or the military may do. They do it as a result of our prayers. Back to what Fulford said. We cannot talk in detail about the negotiations yet for security reasons. Well, I can. I can because I didn't get it from some 3-letter source. I got it from God's prophets. So I can say it. And I'll tell you, I think that we've got to be praying for massive arrests of the cabal. All we can say is that it's the biggest thing since monotheism. That tells you it has to do with religion. That has to do with taking out a religion. And that is saying that it's telling us we're trying to take out the cabal, okay, the Moloch and the Baal worshipers. Either Moses, and if you go back and you read in Exodus, what did Moses do? He told them to pull out their swords and go into all of the tents of those people that had worshipped the golden calf and kill them all. Because someone, apparently what it's saying, someone that worships Moloch and Baal can't just walk away. They just can't do it. Now, as Christians, we all want to think, well, anybody can turn to Jesus. And I still want to believe that. But in reality, apparently they just can't. Apparently, there's something so strong about Moloch and Baal worshipers. Apparently, they kill people. Murder's nothing for them. I mean, which is why they did that to JFK and others. Anybody gets in their way, they get it. It says this: the biggest thing since monotheism began in ancient Egypt thousands of years ago. In my opinion, that's only the Moloch Cabal. Oh, that's only the Cabal. What it's saying is that they're taking out the Cabal. That's the plan. That's the plan all the way back to JFK. And by the way, what was JFK trying to do? Trying to kick out their financial system and bring in a new financial system. At the time, the only thing he had to do was to come out with silver certificates rather than Federal Reserve notes. That was his only option at the time. But today we have QFS. Today we have probably 1,100, 1,200, if truth be known, of these low Earth orbiting Starlink satellites already in place. The quantum computer in the QFS system, according to finalwakeupcall.info, has already been in place for a couple of years and been working. And then according to one of the guys that I don't want to say his name because he's a new ager, he says that it's already been switched over. That he specifically says that the only financial system on Earth is not the SWIFT system. Well, you can take that to it being switched. Now, when that happens, you can imagine that there's going to be chaos. So let's finish what he's saying here. So the biggest thing since monotheism began in ancient Egypt thousands of years ago, when it happens, he didn't say if it happens, when it happens, it will be on all the screens and news outlets. What's he saying? Well, the rumor is, again, I can't prove this, the rumor is that when they switch from the old internet system, turning off Facebook, YouTube, and probably some other things out there, when they turn those off, they're going to go to a new internet system. And frankly, that seems far-fetched. To me, that seems too difficult. But nevertheless, that's the rumor. That's the rumor floating around. And when they switch from the old SWIFT system to the QFS system, again, according to finalwakeupcall.info, as you can imagine, there's going to be some big changes. That means that the paper dollars, really all paper currency, is about to go bye-bye. Does that explain why it's important to have gold and silver? Which, by the way, I recommend you call cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Say Prophecy Club when you call cornerstoneassetmetals.com. They can help you with all that sort of stuff. But if you, matter of fact, that's probably one more reason. I told you, the Lord spoke to my heart. I didn't hear an audible voice, but it's the same thing I hear for the broadcast every day. Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart, my brothers and sisters. And what he said to my heart, he says, whatever extra you have, put it in silver. And again, I'm not suggesting you buy silver. I'm not giving financial advice. You also recall that Shane Warren said he heard the audible voice of God say that silver will skyrocket far more than gold. So maybe a little gold, but probably the lion's share in silver. I told you, I listened to the Lord. I called cornerstoneassetmetals.com. They took a check on the phone, didn't even know they could do that. Cleared the next day. A few days later, the silver arrived. When it happens, it will be on all the screens and news outlets, meaning the rumor is that they're going to be playing an 8-hour loop of all of the bad guys, all of the things that they've been doing that you haven't been told, that the news, the fake news, won't put out. And they're going to be putting this on an 8-hour loop. It'll play 3 times a day. And the scuttlebutt is that it's supposed to go on for like 10 days. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. Again, this is rumor. I'm telling you it's rumor. May not happen. But I'm telling you that, brothers and sisters, we got to pray. Because 2 Chronicles 7:14 says, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, I'll forgive their sins and heal their land." Okay, the key is, can we turn from our wicked ways? Well, the massive arrest, I hope, will be in the eyes of God, America, and perhaps the whole world, turning from our wicked ways. So hopefully God will give us more time. When it happens, it will be in all the screens and news outlets. Well, if we got a whole new financial system, a whole new satellite system, and they took over all of the news outlets, I could see that happening. Until then, the operational secrecy is vital. Now, those words, when it says operational secrecy, those words are military words. So once it points to me that this whole thing about a military takeover is really about to happen. And we got to pray it does. If it doesn't happen, we're gone. America, it's gone. We're done. We're over with. Now, April the 2nd of 2021, Donna Rigney told this story about her husband having a dream. Now, the reason I'm going to give it to you is because it already confirms Dimitri was told the fall of America would start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. What is an internal revolution? It is an overthrow of the people overthrowing their current government. Right now, a column or a battalion of tanks going into Washington, D.C., that would be the definition of an internal revolution. What Terry Bennett said, a dramatic change in our government, there'll be a time of anarchy and chaos. For a while, we'll have a fractional government, which means basically our government come down to the state level because the military is stepping in and having to seize control of our federal government. You'd call it a coup, but in all honesty, it will be to help our nation. That is an internal revolution. So now we have Dimitri Duduman saying internal revolution. We have Terry Bennett saying internal revolution. Then, April 2, 2021, Donna Rigney comes along and she tells this story. She says, my husband had a dream. It was opening day of hunting season, but he wasn't able to go. That night he had a dream and he sees a deer coming down a hill into this ravine to a river, drinking water from the river, and then walking up the hill right in front of him. He was able to shoot the deer. The next day, when he did go hunting, the exact scene happened. The deer came walking down, drank water from the river in exactly the same place, walked right in front of him, and he says now that deer is mounted over their fireplace. The dream happened exactly as it was shown. The very next night, he had another dream. He saw an armored battalion of tanks, Humvees, and roof-mounted machine guns and armored personnel carriers with cannons going down Pennsylvania Avenue toward the Capitol, the Supreme Court, and the White House. Time out. Isn't that what Dimitri told us back in 1984? Isn't that what Shane Warren told us? This is the third voice saying this. Went to the Supreme Court, another one to the White House, another one to the Capitol. Army personnel from those three different groups walked into the three different buildings. After a little while, they came out bringing with them Secret Service men, all the guards, the policemen, all the security people, unarmed, and they laid their arms down on the concrete. In other words, they surrendered. The people currently in the White House, Supreme Court, and the Capitol, the guards, the armed people, surrendered their arms to the military. That is the definition of an internal revolution. That's the definition that was given to Dimitri. The fall of America would start with an internal revolution. Now, when's it going to happen? I don't know. I don't have any inside sources. No one has given me any inside information. I'm just a prophecy teacher. So if you're thinking I got some kind of inside information, don't even bother asking, because I'm going to tell you, I get it from the Bible or I get it from God's prophets. Then the other things from the world confirm what they've already told us, okay? So back to what it said. Army personnel from the three different groups went into the buildings. They stayed there for a while. They brought all the people out who are guarding those buildings. Then the Army personnel went back into all three different buildings and took whatever they wanted. And I was telling this to a racquetball buddy of mine last night, and he said, yeah, they took all the evidence proving all these people are so bad. I said, yeah, probably. He didn't say that, but you're probably right. He saw the military take temporary control of the nation to arrest the evildoers and the wrongdoers, and that's the way the Constitution would have it. Now, I don't know this Donna Rigney, and I've tried to get a hold of her. I've emailed. I've gone to the website. I can't seem to get a response from them. For whatever reason, it seems like so many people in the ministry think high of themselves, and you can't get a hold of them. That makes them important. So I don't know why they do that, but nevertheless, I've tried diligently trying to get a hold of them, but I can't. But in that, we already have Dimitri saying it, And Shane Warren saying it's the third voice. That's my point. It's the third voice. Now, when's it going to happen? I don't know. Mike Lindell from LindellTV.com, and by the way, Lindell has 2 L's in it, LindellTV.com, says he has spent millions of dollars on attorneys, and they have been scooping up and getting all the evidence on the cheating in this election. And he says Trump is going to be back in power for August. If Trump is back in power by August, and here we are in the middle of May, I would think we don't have long. I would think that maybe May or June. I would think that July would be getting, kind of pushing it to see Trump in power again by August. I don't know. But I am praying, my brothers and sisters, every night that God will send out his angels to destroy the works of darkness and evil in high places and principalities and powers, to destroy this cabal, to bring justice to them. Remember, for justice for all, that's what we need to be praying, just like our Pledge of Allegiance says, liberty and justice for all. So we are right, we are correct to pray for justice. Now, remember, the Bible says judgment has to begin first at the house of God. So I always pray, yes, Lord, bring justice to the house of God too. And that's a good prayer. Pray justice. We need to pray for justice in our nation. Justice, justice, justice. Write out the book of Revelation in a spiral ring notebook and bring it to the School of the Watchmen. I'll lay hands on you and anoint you to receive the spirit of revelation. Then I will teach through the book of Revelation to make you an anointed teacher of Bible prophecy. June 11 to 13, prophecyclub.com. The School of the Watchmen, June 11 to 13. The worst thing is to find yourself in an emergency and you do not have the food. But the second worst thing is to open the food you bought and your family won't eat it because it is garbage. That's the reason so many people get heavensharvest.com food, because it's really good food, edible food in an emergency. It may be 10, 15, 20 years down the road. All of a sudden, you do need it. You can open it and your family is going to eat it. heavensharvest.com. Put in the promo code STAN. It helps your prophecy club. heavensharvest.com, promo code STAN. CornerstoneAssetMetals.com is owned by a prophecy student who reads his King James Bible and supports Prophecy Club. Call CornerstoneAssetMetals.com for gold, silver, palladium, rhodium bars, or coins. They can help you roll over your IRA, 401k, so tell CornerstoneAssetMetals.com Prophecy Club sent you. When a nuclear device goes off, it produces an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, and it fries every computer chip unless they're protected. The good news is EMPshield.com has devices a military testing facility says are 100% accurate to protect against EMP, solar flares, lightning, power surges backed by a 10-year warranty and a $25,000 insurance policy. And they come with simple installation instructions for home, vehicles, RV, and electric generators. You can have electricity in a blackout. EMPshield.com. Use the promo code PROPHECY for a $50 gift card. This helps Prophecy Club. That's EMPshield.com. Promo code PROPHECY for a $50 gift card. EMPshield.com. EMPshield.com. Most people agree that the book of Daniel is the most difficult book in the Bible to understand. Tribulation Secrets in Daniel explains the parts of Daniel that us tribulation saints are going to need to know. It exposes the plans of the Antichrist, how to spot the Antichrist, his physical appearance, the sound of his voice, how he rises to power and takes over the world. 1 for 20, but don't do that. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets of 10. 1 for 20, 10 for 30, and 20 for 50 at prophecyclub.com. This is the best deal we've ever offered at the Prophecy Club. You get 10 How Pre-Trib 1, 10 Tribulation Secrets in Daniel, 10 Miss the Mark, 5 God's Warning to America, 5 Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy, 40 books, gift of $100 at prophecyclub.com. We now have 9 Big Berkeys, 6 Royal Berkeys, 4 Imperial Berkeys, and 2 Crown Berkeys, and most of the time, everyone is out of stock. We have them in stock. prophecyclub.com.
Join the battle and prayerfully consider supporting the Prophecy Club with your gifts of support. We would not be here without your prayers and generous financial support.